Welcome to Vibrate. I'm Amy. I am a longtime intuitive astrologer and trauma therapist. I'm also a frequency guide and the founder of Trine, a holistic brand where we use astrology for healing as our foundation. This isn't a podcast, it's a transmission, it's a portal, it's a loving energy field designed to awaken your highest vibration. Listen to receive vibrational attunement to what's present in the cosmos, in your nervous system, and in the new earth field we're all curating together through love and frequency. Let these transmissions move through your body, awaken your soul being, activate your life codes, and guide you home to wholeness and to your place in the everything. If you're ready to go deeper, you can join the temple at trine-healing.com or text the word vibrate to 720-927-7722. This will be featured in the show notes as well. Let's begin. Before I jump into the heart of this podcast episode, I just wanted to give a little bit more of a framework for what is to come in this episode and why I'm so casual, so unpolished, so unedited. I am so super real. Part of my authentic code is to just show up in present moment connection and attunement. And I'm a Sagittarius rising, so I do not enjoy spending very much time planning or articulating over really specific details to how things look and how they're received. I just want to give you my authentic self, talking casually, intuitively, kind of channeling and being in a conversation with you. So I hope you can appreciate the style here. And another thing I want to do with my podcast episodes is bring in some more information that is oftentimes just shared in smaller, tighter circles. My students, people getting readings with me, my text list serve that I send messages to, my Instagram followers. I'm trying to bring more bridging between the platforms, but honestly, this is such a labor of love. And pretty much as a therapist and a mom, all I do is a labor of love all the time. So I also have to take care of myself. So what I'm doing is sort of double purposing some of the things I've already recorded because I do not sit in front of a computer very often in my life by design. Okay, so enjoy the details in this podcast episode, and I really hope that you can use this beautiful, powerful, amazing transiting time in our cosmos to focus on love frequency, connecting to your soul and your intuition, the action verb of hope, and sticking the course when things are hard so that we can hopefully all work together energetically in the quantum field to raise the vibration so that everyone here on this planet can experience love and wholeness and connection and security. That's the goal. Take care. Hi, it's Amy at Trine Astrology. Happy new moon in Virgo. Let's share the chart. I like to show you guys the chart so you can see the energies really clearly. So whenever I'm showing the chart of an event or whether it's your birth chart, whatever we're looking at, what I love to do first is just have you take a breath and feel into your own heart space or your belly or your bones and just get connected with your own energy. I really want you to be tuned into your own truth and your knowing and what you feel is your truth. So even as I say certain things or share my ideas, I want you to be feeling the vibration and the resonance and not just going with what I'm saying. So this is your invitation to be connected to your own system, your own body, your own breath, your soul, your truth. And just tune into this chart for a second. Take a look at it. This ring here is the zodiac wheel. This is like a map of the sky. And then on the inside here is where you see a print, an imprint of the planets at exactly where they will be at the moment when the moon and the sun create the new moon in Virgo at 0 degrees, 23 minutes. So the lines here in the center show the relationships or the aspects between the transiting planets. So many people, even if you're not super aware of the specific details of astrology, You can look at a chart and just get a vibe. Like, is it busy? Is it balanced? Does it have movement? Does it have weight? Is there a lot happening or not a lot happening? So I just want to give you that little tool for yourself so that as more people are awakening to the study of astrology, you have something to just start with so you don't have to know all the details because it is so complex. Also, Virgo season, the sun moved into Virgo around 2:30 today. So we're technically in Virgo season now. And Virgo season is very much about teaching and learning and caring and tending, paying attention to procedures, processes, methods. Some people think of it as details, but I think of it as tending and caring. So much so that you are going to sort of look at nuances and think of all the little things that would feel really good on your altar or taking care of someone else. So that's an invitation to this month. Another thing you can do is always start with where the sun is in the sky. It's there for about a month, and that gives you a really general idea of the energies that are going to be in the zeitgeist, so to speak. So just since today, while I'm recording this video, is when the sun moved out of Leo and into Virgo. You can probably feel this evening, there's kind of like a settling. It's a Friday night here in Colorado, and to me, I would guess that a lot of people are just like kind of taking it easy, staying home tonight instead of going out maybe, or doing something really mellow. And that's because Virgo kind of brings us back down or in or slows us down. When I think of the 3 earth signs, that being Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, I picture them like Taurus is a trail. Capricorn is like a 14er. It's like a peak and a trail that goes somewhere. And so between that is the space of Virgo, which is the way that you go, the path you take, the turns you make. I even think about, when you're hiking and there's just like certain roots or rocks or little markers along the trail that you use to guide you or to even step onto as part of your path. I think about that, which is interesting because an archetype is coming up for me personally and in a group that I'm in that we were working with some archetypes this morning. The Pathless path came up as an archetype, and I think that's such a fascinating title. Maybe I'll even title this talk The Pathless Path, because usually Virgo has a sense of a path or not quite a direction, but a putting one foot in front of the other, like knowing where the next step should be. But because of the other space weather, the cosmic imprint of all this other energy that you're looking at here in the chart, what happens is there's really not a clear way. There's a lot of feeling your way in the dark or trusting. There's a really strong call for a trust muscle with this specific new moon. Okay, going back to me trying to simplify astrology too. A new moon is another way you can always work with the energies very directly without knowing a lot about the zodiac signs or the planets. Because anytime we have a new moon, there is a quiet beginning, a seeding point, a start, an initiation. The skies are quiet. There's like a lot of potentiality. It's a blank canvas kind of energy. Sometimes, most of the time actually, I would say that the new moon, particularly every year around now when the new moon is in Virgo, we get that especially strong, quiet inward energy. Think of like how it feels with that sort of like back to school feeling where it's like, okay, I've got all my like nice little notebooks and my gel pens and I'm like ready to get organized. Like it has that kind of feel to it for a lot of people. But because this season, this Virgo season is very unique, different, lively, new energies, quickenings, electric energies, powerful vibe. Like Virgo doesn't usually have like a sense of like a powerfulness, but all these other aspects and movements and energies that are happening are bringing that in. So it's adding a different flair or intensity to Virgo season than what's kind of normal or typical. This whole year has a million different ways that the astrology is doing that to the energy. So let me also just say, once a year, once a calendar year, one of the zodiac signs gets 2 moons, either 2 new moons or 2 full moons. And that's if there's two new moons, it's a black moon. If there's two full moons, it's a blue moon. So that might be something, you've heard, once in a blue moon, and it means kind of like once just past a little bit of a year kind of time. But this Virgo season, we have the two moons. The double moon happens in Virgo this year, and it's two new moons. So first, we have the new moon at 0 degrees, and on the 21st of September, the moon will happen over here at the other end of Virgo at the 29th degree. And not only that, it will be the autumnal equinox, and it will also be an eclipse, like all at the same time. So I feel like we're just sort of like at this opening chapter of a wild ride, intense experience of dynamic shifts, change, surprises, maybe even awakening energy. There's so much Uranus energy happening. There's Plutonian things going on. Oh, there's a lot of outer planet stuff happening. Anyhow, so Virgo season does not usually feel like this. So anybody who has Virgo strong in your chart and you're sort of like, yay, I'm home, like this is my time of year, it might not quite be as comfortable and feeling like a homecoming as it usually does. So this is a time to use your tools, your rituals, your breath, the way that you take care of your body, your health routines, your workout routines, all the little procedural things that make you feel as best as you can feel and that feel like you are you, because you're not going to be getting it from the cosmos right now. Okay, if that's enough, great. We'll see you back here for the those who are live on Instagram right now. We'll be doing our new moon Reiki circle at 7:30. If you're watching this recording later and you'd like to join us for our free new moon Reikis, we do them every time there's a new moon, every time there's a full moon, always at 7:30 p.m. Mountain. And it's about a 20-minute remote meditation where you don't have to log into anything. You can reach out to me on whatever platform you're watching this on, or you can also send the word connect to a phone number, which I'll put in the show notes of wherever you're watching this. So if you want to get a little more nerdy with me on the astrology, I'm going to talk to you about some of the specific things that are happening. So we're always looking at the other movements of the planets, the messages that we're getting, the strongest energy currents that are coming from the cosmos at the same time as these very personalized new moon timestamps or blueprints of energy. So what's coming up immediately as soon as the sun just moved, well, actually the moon first at 11:30ish this morning moved into Virgo, then the sun, and as soon as they hit 1 degree tomorrow, we're going to have an exact square for the first time in over 80 years on the planet to Uranus in the position of being at 1 degree 23 minutes of Gemini. So because all the outer planets are changing signs this year, anytime we have any aspect to these outer planets, it will be the first time in our lifetimes, unless we're in our late 80s, where these energies are happening. So each time it's like that feeling of anticipation. We don't know what this is going to be until we live through it. So like always with astrology, there's a sense of an archetypal quality, some themes that are possible, sort of like, there's like a forecast feel of energies, but until we really like live it through on the earth, we're not going to know exactly what this vibration feels like. So if you've been feeling kind of anxious this week, I think partly that was the sort of symbol clap of the end of Leo season, which always kind of goes out with a bang. But it was also this feeling of, what is this Uranus and Gemini square to the sun and the moon at the time of the new moon? What is that going to be? And if you're following any astrologer really, and you're learning how to apply these transits to your chart to understand how this might work with you, what you're going to look at, and you probably are familiar if you're following this, is where do you have this 1 degree of Gemini in your chart, especially what house you have there. This is the chart of the new moon, by the way. It's not a birth chart. But what house do you have right here at the beginning of Gemini? What house do you have the 0 to 1? Well, we could call it 0 up to probably 4 degrees or so of Virgo in your chart. And do you have anything else there? Because that's getting like a part of the mix of the intensity of the energies kind of communicating with each other. And that's where you're going to experience the changes. I just started doing, this is so Virgo energy of me. I have a Virgo moon, and I'm actually part of my trauma healing journey is trying to really embody my own moon energy more. This is something that I teach in my personal practice and my consults with people, is that if you can't really find your natal moon energy, it's probably because either there's some kind of trauma that has kept you from it, or cultural conditioning, family programming, ways you're supposed to be in the world that are not in the nature of your moon, and you've kind of lost it. It's like still in you, in the center of you. But anyway, so one of my practices is I'm trying to be more organized and methodical and grounded with the things that I'm doing, rather than being in my either emotional Cancer sun or my all over the place flying through space Sag rising, which is where I really prefer to be most of the time. So I got this little whiteboard as my kids were starting school in the last couple of weeks. And I put a number of things on it that are just really practical things, but then I made this little box where I put a little note about astrology, because my 3 boys do not care or embarrassed by it, don't want to learn astrology at this point in their lives. But I just figured if I put like one little note, maybe it'll start to track, maybe they'll catch it every once in a while and then kind of match how their lives are feeling. We'll see. I'll give you feedback on that down the road. But anyhow, I had written on the board something about like big changes, like what's happening this week. By next week, you won't recognize the situation. Like it's just going to change quick and fast. And that's really the energy of Uranus squaring the new moon. So this almost has a feel to me also, if a new moon is where we're beginning something or trying to focus or get grounded, whatever you're thinking or intending or kind of working on is probably going to get a curveball. So I also am sort of like, don't get too attached. Like, don't get too attached to what you're trying to do, or don't get too specific, maybe would be a way to work with this. Get really centered with yourself, resource yourself, have your tools, your tincture, mocktails, whatever you need to help yourself be kind of, to find your own internal stability, maybe is what it is. Because Virgo likes stability. That's a big Virgo word. And Uranus doesn't, like at all. And so a square is like they're vying for their own themes or approaches or angles or what they care about. So you have this kind of tension between stability and instability. And if you think about it, why? Well, for the purpose of either this energy here, the seeding of something new that's methodical and of service and tending, or for the purposes of awakening. Uranus awakens, it's the higher mind, it's future self energy. So there might be a tension between those two things, and that's what you're going to be feeling your way through, that pathless path, that, you know, touching the trees in the dark as you make your way through the forest kind of energy as this moon gets started. But another thing I really need to talk to you about is that this is cracking open eclipse season. So every year we have 2 seasons, we call them, where there's at least 2 eclipses kind of packed together about 2 weeks apart. And they happen like 2 eclipses one time of the year, and then 6 months later, you'll have 2 eclipses again close together, sometimes 3. Every once in a while, we have 6 in a year rather than 4. We have 4 this year. This is kind of like a normal year for eclipses. But the next 2 moons, the next full moon and the next new moon after this, are going to be eclipses. So we have, I'll show you on a calendar. I hope that when I click on the Zoom, you guys can see the shift. But this is a little shout out to Jessica Lanyato's Astrology for Days. Go here. It's like $20, and it's a calendar that you can just click around and see where all the aspects are happening. It's pretty awesome. She's a triple Capricorn, speaking of Earth moons. The first eclipse is happening on, it would help if I was not in August. Here we go. First eclipse is September 7th. Just put it like this so you can see it. It's a lunar eclipse. That means it's a full moon. It's happening at, you can see right here, 15 degrees, 23 minutes of Pisces. That means that the moon will be in Pisces while the sun is in Virgo, creating the Pisces full moon. But there is an eclipse happening here, which gives it a potency, a strength and intensity that's like a very, very strong full moon energy. So whatever you know about full moons, the idea of completions and releases and culminations and things kind of coming to a cycling end or shift, that is enhanced, it's intensified when there's an eclipse. And the eclipse brings to it a sense of fate or karma. It brings oftentimes emotion or something that feels just extra potent in your life. And this will be especially affecting you if you have planets or points near the 15-degree mark of Pisces or Virgo, or we always kind of want to look at the square of that. So just to show you in a chart where that is, Pisces and Virgo are across from each other. And then the other two mutable signs that create the square are if you have something in mid-degrees of Gemini or Sagittarius. Oh, sorry, switch. I'm looking at one screen, not the other. So Pisces, Virgo axis and Gemini Sag axis at about 15 degrees in your own chart. That just means that this eclipse on September 7th is going to especially impact you. Eclipses sort of come in like a storm. So you can't really know what they are until the storm passes. You sort of have to hunker down and live through the storm, and then there's an aftermath, and then you're sort of looking back to see what the storm just did. So the eclipse, especially because they're always about 2 weeks apart, it's like this pocket of time. It's almost like timeless time where there's like a malleability, there's a calm before the storm, there's an eye of the hurricane kind of vibe between the two eclipses. And we're just going to kind of wait. We're going to get through it and try to stay centered and stay in our tending to self, tending to others, caring in our Virgo, best of our Virgo qualities, practical magic, I think I called it in my astrology class this week. We're not going to really know until we're at the end of the month what this really is or what this means. The second eclipse, which is also going to be the second new moon in Virgo. Okay, so we're like already in this energy. Even as I'm talking about it, you might be feeling it, but the part of you that wants to know what it's going to be, I want you to just self-soothe, because you're not going to know what it's going to be. We're going to figure that out after the fact. So the second eclipse is happening on September 21st. Now this is the one where I said it's also the autumnal equinox, which happens, wait a second. The next day, okay. The autumnal equinox is technically on September 22nd, when the sun moves into Libra at 12:19 p.m. Mountain. But the day before, we have the new moon, where you see the moon at 29 degrees of Virgo, conjunct the sun at 29 degrees of Virgo, so 29:05, the very anaretic degree. As mundane astrologers will tell you, this is a degree point of decay and decompensation. It's the end. It's like the end of the cycle of the. If the 0 degree is the seeding in the beginning and the fertility moment, the spark, then the last degree is it's a birth and a death cycle all compact together in one cycle, 0 to 29 degrees. So this just makes the eclipse even stronger. The fact that it's at 29 degrees, the fact that it's just before the sun tips into the perfect balanced day and night the next day, it's just going to be super duper potent. I don't know. I'm not trying to make predictions here, but I think we're going to get like the first eclipse might feel a bit mild compared to the second. And, well, the other thing that's happening that I want to mention too is that over the next couple of months, all the outer planets will be moving back to the signs they were in before their big moment of ingress into new signs this year. So we're going to get this little, okay, let me walk you through this. We're going to get a big shakeup, I think, with Uranus squaring the new moon. Something over the next few days, if it hasn't already happened, is going to be a giant surprise, a twist of fate, something like that. Then we're going to get this feeling of okay, I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to start something. I thought I was going to do this other thing, but now I'm going to do something unexpected and different I wasn't sure about. And then the eclipses are going to come and bring us this sort of karmic, like another fork in the road or fated twist moment. It's not as, eclipses are a bit Uranian. So it gives the vibes of the Uranus square, only this is more like a lightning strike, and the eclipses are more like, oh, I can never think of like a better metaphor than this. Let's just keep it a little bit nice. I like a paper cutter idea. Like something's gonna get just like lopped off. like let's just cut that away. We don't need that part. Um, Now you can think of that as like, when you bring flowers in from the garden, you're kind of trimming them and you're, making them pretty in a vase. You can kind of think of it like that, but you're not going to have like choices about how that goes. You're only going to have choices of how you work with that energy after the fact. Okay. What else is happening? This is huge. I haven't talked about this yet. There's so much this month. I should probably be on here for 9 hours, but we're going to start our Reiki in about 5 minutes. So that's not going to happen. But we are starting to have a very exact, let me show you where this is happening. Pluto in the first, almost second degree of Aquarius in a sextile with both Saturn and Neptune. It's going to be coming into exactitude shortly. And then these two planets are also in a sextile with Uranus, and then Uranus and Pluto are in a trine. So see this blue triangle here? We talked about this with the kite formation. Oh my God, I'm doing this again. I'm talking to the video and not looking at my phone where I have my Instagram people. Sorry, you guys. So here is, we have Pluto in Aquarius, sextiling Neptune and Saturn, still in Aries for now, sextiling Uranus and Gemini still for now, and then Uranus and Pluto trining each other, creating this triangle here, which we call a mini grand trine. This is a long-term, powerful aspect that is going to be the main storyline really now. This eclipse season to me is really the potency of clearing the space for what this mini grand trine will be for 4 years, you guys. This is like a 4-year pattern, okay? If you want to study this deeply, I've not done this yet, but I intend to. Molly McCord, who many of you know is one of my favorite astrologers and mentors, she has a whole program you can buy to really study this specific thing and really look ahead at the next 4 years. So I would highly recommend that. This comes into play really strongly through this eclipse season. And then what's really fascinating is almost like a slingshot a little bit, but like a very slow-mo, like, I don't know if a turtle could create a slingshot or something. Uranus is going to move back into Taurus in a little while. Saturn in like a couple weeks is going to move back into Pisces. Neptune will move back into Pisces. So there's just this little like, let's just like pull these back. They're not going to be exact in this mini grand trine with Pluto until next year, in early next year. We'll have it kind of kick in and click in again. And then we'll also be hitting the second eclipse season, or the next eclipse season, I should say, again, that's happening on the Pisces Virgo axis before the nodes change, which puts the eclipses in a new set of zodiac signs. So we're really in this for about 18 months that we have this Virgo Pisces axis activated. So to me, this eclipse season is taking the lid off the potion that we're meant to be working with for the magic, for the Virgo practical magic, for the Piscean spiritual awakening energy that is being teed up by this square from Uranus happening here, that will expand us into the next 6 months where we catch ourselves on the other side, the next eclipse season, and have eclipses here again, to then sort of clean up whatever this sort of like slowing down energy is of a little bit back in time into the earth and water signs before everything kicks more permanently into this fire, air, mini grand trine situation. Okay. There's like 100 other things. The last thing I'm going to say though, just a little quick note. This is like where I send you a little love note. Venus very shortly will be moving into Leo and will be opposing Pluto. So this is like another self-care piece here. And she's just coming off of her square with Chiron. So I feel like Venus is a little bruised right now. She's a little tender. She's kind of limping around on her swollen ankle sort of vibe. and then she's gonna get knocked down again a bit. So there's like that sort of, you know, how it is to be in a female body where you're like, oh, I guess I'll just get back up again. I just got knocked down again. I'm going to get back up again. It has that kind of feel. But this also is a moment for the potential of empowerment. And I want to just real quickly talk about the kind of sacred feminine or lunar empowerment is not through brute force or like a muscular strength of pushing ahead. It is the kind of strength that comes from a quiet internal knowing that is silently powerful. It is resonance. It is a knowing in your own being that then ripples out into reality, and no one even knows the power of it because it just exists in its own accord. And so it has the vibe of like when you're personally working with the energy, it's you sitting in touch with your own soul frequency and your knowing in such a way that you don't have to push it out or fight for it or be heard or be seen or get the attention from it. You just know in your soul, the resonance, the tone of yourself can be dialed up or projected out with such strength in the present moment that that is the power. And the power is being able to self-regulate yourself to that way of emanating your resonance. And that that's how to kind of come out of this power struggle that's going to be happening with Pluto pulling on Venus here. And this is going to be the first Venus-Pluto opposition that we're having in these degrees in our lifetimes, because Pluto is newly hitting 2 degrees of Aquarius. It's retrograde now, but so it's not going to be like, there can be, because Pluto raises fight or flight, it puts us in fear. It reminds us that we're mammals. It's a lot of the power structures, the bigger, the powers that be that are just the invisible forces that make us feel like we don't actually have autonomy over our lives. Venus kind of whispers quietly that you do actually have autonomy. And it's about presence, and it's about connecting to your heart, and it's about being empowered. Excuse me. In your own self energy and your own soul light. It's about shining your light. It's about the more of us that do this, that shine our light from that place of strength. Like, I mean, I can't help but think of like, was it the Care Bears that like shone their hearts out? It's like when enough of us do that, it has to do with power to the people in an energetic resonance way that we can, our light can absorb, dissolve the darkness that's here. And there is so much darkness. It's almost like the darker the darkness gets on the planet, the more we can shine our light, because we have such a contrast to what that is. And the more we join our sort of light force, our love energy, and connect it in resonance and live from that place, the more we are in the unified field of a higher vibrational consciousness on the planet. And so I think when there's going to be a lot that happens in the world when this opposition is exact, which I didn't tell you when it is because I didn't actually look up when it is, but that's why I love this. I can just look ahead here. Let's see. I keep forgetting that it's not September yet. Oh my God. Okay. Sorry. Here we go. So on August 26th, on Tuesday, is when Venus at 1 degree, 52 minutes of Leo will be opposing Pluto at 1 degree, 52 minutes of Aquarius around noon Mountain Time. So that's coming right up. So it probably, I think something in the squaring of Uranus to the new moon will also be sort of the first chapter in the story of Venus opposing Pluto. But we're going to be feeling things on the world stage. We're going to be feeling things in big collective ways when it comes to this. I'm going to call it an alignment. My like positive Sagittarian reframe of a Pluto opposing Venus is it's actually Venus aligning with Pluto. It's like she's just standing in her power to this force, to Hades, to the ruler of the underworld, and she's just like she's like, you can't touch my light. Like that's what she's saying, basically. So I'm going to leave you with that. We're going to get ready to do our Reiki moon circle. If you're watching this video later afterwards and it's not live, you can definitely still close your eyes and meditate and tune into the energy. We use a healing, vibrational, new earth energy, holy fire Reiki, and you can feel it usually as a warmth or a presence through your system, through your body, and just let the intelligence of the energy work with you. There's nothing you need to do besides breathe and rest your system and receive the energy. Thank you so much for joining me today at Vibrate. I'll be back soon with energy forecasts, practical tips, transmissions, and channeled messages to support you on your path. To help the field expand, please consider sharing, liking, and subscribing, and explore my astrology workbook, my offerings, or join the temple at shrine-healing.com. Until next time, remember you are the signal you've been waiting for.